We'll go on this break. We'll make a return. Stay with us. And we move straight right into what the papers have for us today, the headline segment. But before that, this month entirely is known as the Women Month. And tomorrow, 8th day of March, is the International Women's Day. It is set aside to discuss everything pertaining to women, to celebrate the women folks around the world. And of course, that will form the basis of our program for today. But this is Women's Month. The conversation can never be too early. Although it is tomorrow, this program doesn't hold tomorrow. So why can't we talk about it today? We will talk about it today, and we'll be speaking to a very critical stakeholder and a person of influence. Let me let the cat out of the bag. You are in for a good one this morning, and possibly you could see me with a pinky shirt. It's to identify with the women folks. By the way, we have mothers, we have sisters, we have wives. When I mean we, I don't have wives. I mean the men, we have wives. And of course, if you are blessed enough, you have daughters as well. So we can't just talk enough about things that has to do with women. But before that, we will be talking, looking through the front pages of our newspapers today. Let me start with the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper has these. Transport fares remain high despite petrol price drop. Transport fares remain high despite petrol price drop. Exactly, the concern of so many persons when we heard that petrol price has dropped, especially the one supplied by Dangote refineries and his partners, and then NNPCL and their partners followed suit as well. But there is no significant change yet in many filling stations. So you hear some of these interventions and development in these corporations, but sometimes it doesn't trickle down to the last consumer. This is what the Daily Trust is reporting. Transport fares remain high despite petrol price hike. And below that, you have the picture of a burning truck. Now, below that, alleged sexual harassment. Senate suspend Natasha for 6 months. It was quite possibly the drama climaxed yesterday at the plenary, the Senate, where the Committee on Ethics and Privileges came up with their report and recommendations. And part of the recommendation is that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan should be suspended for 6 months. And they gave a window, though, that if she tenders a written apology to the Senate President and the entire Senate, she might be reconsidered for a reduced suspension term of maybe 3 months or thereabout. And why she's as that, she should not be seen at the National Assembly. Her salaries and remunerations are suspended for those, for that period rather. And then she should discontinue presenting herself for that period as a senator of the Federal Republic. And in fact, they said our aides and assistants, all of them, will have their salaries and wages or remunerations rather suspended. But, there were interventions, I think, from Ojuzo Kalu, my governor of Abia State, who raised his hands to say, if you are punishing Natasha, you should not punish our aides because they have families to feed. They are living in Abuja. It is Natasha, that has erred as far as this issue is concerned, not our aides. And the intervention, worked. So our aides were spared. But then our security details were even withdrawn, former governor of, former Senate president, rather, Mr. Lawan, intervened to say you can't just leave her open for the Senate in board. So these are some of the things we are seeing at this time. Suspension. And while the woman was leaving the plenary, by the way, she still put on her mic to say, this injustice shall not stand. And then she took her work in a very upset manner, expectedly so. That is how it went yesterday. So she is on 6 months suspension, but the window is if she will, tender a written apology, then the Senate might just consider, having a suspension reduced. And below that, Benue University students regain freedom after 8 days in captivity. Benue University students regain freedom after 8 days in captivity. And EFCC quizzes ex-Women Affairs Minister over alleged 138 million naira fraud. EFCC quizzes ex-Women Affairs Minister over alleged 138 million naira fraud. And 6 killed as fuel tanker explodes in Niger. Sad, and that is the wreckage you are seeing in that picture. 6 killed as fuel tanker explodes in Niger. And here, 12 Zamfara vigilantes killed in clash with bandits. 12 Zamfara vigilantes killed in clash with bandits. Sad one there. And Ramadan, Sharia Council defends school closure in Northern State. Interesting one. Ramadan, Sharia Council defends school closure in Northern State. You remember some schools, have been closed in some states. Kano, Katsina, Bauchi, and Kebbi. So there is a defense to that by the Sharia Council. You might want to look through, see what these, defense borders on. Now, Nigeria lost 94 trillion naira to business closures, multinational divestment, and ESG. Nigeria lost 49 trillion naira to business closures, multinational divestment, and ESG. Talking about the issue of, the closure of schools, many persons will never really understand how the people got there and how we got there as a people and as a nation to say, is that the best we can do at this time, with what we are seeing, the quality of education that is being rendered in our schools in the first place. Many persons will feel maybe we are not even getting what we should be getting. And it's a lot, actually, now to have the schools closed down. But then, as those who say, what do we know here? We can only listen. And, through that popular social media slang, we listen, we don't judge. Yeah, so let the judges or people who are interested take, their decisions by themselves. Now that we are seeing some defense to that. All right, away from the Daily Trust for today, we move on to the next paper, which is The Guardian. The Guardian for today, 10th Assembly, pro-people legislations shadowed by House drama and intrigues. Pro-people legislations shadowed by House drama and intrigues. And you have, some stakeholders there when you talk about the drama that has happened and the one that recently happened at the National Assembly. You have the picture of the Senate President, Gosolo Pabio, his deputy, Jibrin Barrow, Okwemi Bamile from Ekiti State, Natasha Putu-Uduahan, the senator, from the suspended senator from Kogi Central, and Inaya Baribe, former minority leader of the House. And below that, furore has Senate slams 6-month suspension on Apoti Udwan. That's normal news, I guess. Defense Headquarters queries Nigeria's terrorism index ranking as federal government freezes asset of terror financiers. Defense Headquarters queries Nigeria's terrorism index ranking as federal government freezes assets of terror financiers. Defense headquarters queries Nigeria's terrorism index ranking. Okay, as federal government freezes assets of terror financiers. All right, possibly the defense headquarters feel we have done better, as compared to the recent index in the terrorism ranking as we currently have. Now, Air Force personnel invade Ikeja Distribution Company office, allegedly assault workers over power disconnection. You remember that last week, reported here, was it last week or earlier in the week, that the Air Force base or barrack, was it 12 days blackout? I remember we reported something like that here, read through the pages of the newspaper, and then just yesterday or so, it was reported that the military man, Air Force personnel invaded the IKEDC, that's the Ikeja Electric Distribution Company, and then allegedly assaulted workers over power disconnection. One would think, is that the right way to go? Can you really force your way through? Can't you have meeting with them if you think something unusual has happened rather? Why can't the command representatives, call for a meeting with the distribution company, so that you can have amicable? Now, because you're wearing uniform, boots, camouflage, insignia of the military, and you're carrying rifle, or because people will fear you, I'm not sure. Even if, assuming without conceding, as they say in law, that some staff of IKEDC, staff members, have done something terrible, I'm not sure there is any power given to those personnel to go there and assault them, allegedly assault them. Now, if that is the case, I think we should behave more civilized, in a more civil way, in this country. But then I guess there will be interventions and investigations to what really happened and what caused that for we to be, for the Guardian to be reporting this today. Federal government plans new rehabilitation camp for bandits and terrorists. You have the picture there. Federal government plans new rehabilitation camp for bandits and terrorists. I'm sure these will never get the right support from many quarters who feel, no way, you can't take up arms against the state, kill people at will for whatever reason, and now come later to say, oh, you are done, or possibly you have been captured, and then you are pledging allegiance to say you will do better. What happened to justice? And what if that is, excuse me, the way things will be done? He might encourage people, some persons, to think, I can go on a rampage and do whatever I want. And if he or she is lucky enough, he can then walk up to the police or the military and say, arms up in the air, I'm no more involved in this life. Can you please rehabilitate me while you have wreaked havoc, turn people to widow, make them to go through traumatic experiences and possibly death, in some cases, and you come out? No, because the argument is this. Many persons will feel if bandits and terrorists can be rehabilitated, then an armed robber can say, please excuse me, whatever I've done is in the past, I want to be rehabilitated. A fraudster can come out to say, I'm no more involved in fraud. Let me enjoy my loot. I won't be doing that again. Please rehabilitate me. And then what do we have? What kind of society do we then have? A society in which people can choose to do evil for how long that they want it, and later they come up to say, I'm no more interested. So what happens to punishment, justice, and the people that have been wounded, that have died, their families, their loved ones? How can they feel, just? How can they feel that they are part of such a society? I wonder what that is, and I wonder how helpful that has been, all this rehabilitation that we have been seeing all of these while. All right, moving on. We have this controversy over merit as federal government reverses Chukwu's appointment as Adun VC, ADUN VC. And bottom strip, Catholic Church decries a wave of kidnappings targeting priest and pastoral agent. It is a lot, what we have seen, with the clergy being the target in some places by these scrupulous elements, criminals, evil people. It is a real problem. Catholic Church decries wave of kidnappings targeting priest and pastoral agent. Top strip now. Tinubu approves 80% dialysis subsidy, hires 774 national health fellows. Tinubu approves 80% dialysis subsidy, hires 774 national health fellows. I think this sounds good actually, because the money involved in hiring, in going through dialysis is quite much. And so when you have this kind of help, is something we just hope the operations will be smooth as well. Now, militants threaten oil installation attacks in rivers. Order evacuation. Militants threaten oil installation attacks in rivers. Order evacuation, and court orders permanent forfeiture of $1.4 million fund linked to Emefiele. Court orders permanent forfeiture of $1.4 million fund linked to Emefiele. So much about Emefiele. And the last one for today, the Punch newspaper. 6-month suspension. 6-month suspension. Natasha heads for court as NBA others knock Senate. And with a rider, Kogi senator's lawyer says suspension illegal. PDP kicks. Senate insists 8 rules violated. Kogi senator's lawyer says suspension illegal. PDP kicks. Senate insists 8 rules violated. We hope to see how these pan out, in the coming days. Sanwo-Olu opens new roads, promises more infrastructure, and of course you can see the picture of the commissioning there. And below that you have litigation won't stop Alaafin's coronation. Makinde, litigation won't stop Alaafin's coronation. Makinde, and 4 billion naira debt. Air Force men attack IKEDC, brutalize Punchman and others. This is barbaric. If the report coming in is anything to go about. Now, alleged fraud. Ex-minister detained in EFCC facility, and marketers worry as 5-month fuel imports hit 6 trillion naira. Importation has hit 6 trillion naira in 5 months. And Nigerians pay highest airfares in Africa. NCAA. And rivers crisis. Police vow to crush militants threatening oil production. Rivers crisis. Police vow to crush militants threatening oil production. Federal government designates Simon Ekpa, 16 others, terrorism funders. Federal government designates Simon Ekpa, 16 others, terrorism funders. We'd like to see the rest of them as well. That will be all from the Punch newspaper segment for today. We'll go on this break. When we return, we continue the conversation. Is Morning Spring a very special one for the women folks? Actually, stay with us.